And we are live. Yay. This
Hello,
time
world.
We're talking over it.
We should instantly talk over each other. That's the only way anyone knows that we're doing anything live on Facebook.
Definitely. How are you, Nick?
I am all right. You find me in my gazebo garden office. Possibly, I guess I'm worrying this might be one of the last days in the year I can actually sit out here and do stuff. And I'm slightly overdressed. It was very cold earlier, but now I'm very warm. I may need to peel layers off while we're talking without making too much. Pretty exciting for everybody. But yeah, I am well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Catherine says hello to us. Hello. Yeah, I'm very good. Recovered from birthday hangouts and back to work. But now it's the weekend again. Yay!
Hooray! They do come around pretty quickly. It seems like it's every 5 days or so. I don't really understand the schedule. So what are we doing today then?
Oh, so for anyone who's wondering where Terabithia is, she is currently in my hair. She is here on stream with us. She's just having a nap on my neck.
I can't comment on whether or not that's weird. I don't have birds. Maybe that's normal having.
Well, the other two don't ever do that. But she
in that case, maybe it is weird. Maybe that is unusual. If your other two birds don't do that, I don't know. We've diverted into bird talk already. Hopefully we'll see her climbing like out the side of your head at some point, which will reveal to us that you're pufferted by a bird. Pops the trap door in your forehead open and climbs out.
And no one is at all surprised.
No, I don't think we would be. I think I'd get, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about birds, are we?
Sadly not. That's my other Facebook Live. Yes, we're here to talk about Liberty and Justice for All, which is the first of our Xavier's Institute novels. And we're going to have a look at the cover. We're going to have a look at how we got to that cover and have a little chat about the story for as much as we know as two people who haven't had the joy of editing the book yet. Well,
that's true. I don't have that deep exposure to it, but I was in the original editorial meetings for it. So I remember bits of that, and I've made it into a book, which helps a lot since you have to read most of it while typesetting it. And it's really fun. So yeah, like the context for Xavier's Institute novels, I guess, is that this is all post M Day, which is when most of the mutants get annihilated and just lose all their powers and disappear and stuff, which is all very deep comic booky stuff. But importantly for us, this is about kind of the rebuilding of the X-Men in the new Charles Xavier Institute, which is not the Charles Xavier mansion that we're all familiar with. This is much more a cool clifftop base, which I kind of like. I've not read much of the stuff from this period in comics, but it seems like a lot of fun. And so we're all about recruiting the new X-Men and getting students, mutants with their new terrifying powers to get some kind of balance and sense of what their powers are for, who they are in the world, and whether or not they're going to be heroes or maybe villains in some cases. Because that's a choice that we can all make, isn't it? To be a hero or villain in our own stories. And some people cannot help the allure of villainy. But those are not our main characters for this. For this one, we're looking at Triage and Tempest, who are perhaps some less well-known X-Men characters, but they're really cool. And they seem to have quite a big fan base, which is pretty exciting. And they have a very distinctive look, which was appealing. We'll talk about for the cover, I guess. But this is Triage and Tempest on their first mission. They are finishing up their X-Men exams and are taking the X-copter out for a spin to see if they can pilot it properly, heading Chicagowards. And unbeknownst to them, there's quite a lot going down in Chicago at the time. There's a big protest, anti-mutant protest, because the X-Men has always been a potent metaphor for discrimination and equality in the United States and elsewhere. And that continues in X-Men today, and it continues to some extent in our novel, as they find there's a very large anti-mutant protest kicking off. And as they near Chicago, they get a mysterious SOS message from someone, and I think that's as far as we're going to go in the story, other than that they obviously instantly divert from their planned mission of just going to Chicago and back and get involved in a very heavy adventure this season, facing off some quite serious X-Men opponents, and you'll have to read the book to find out how well they do.
I'm excited.
It's a really good book.
Very well for me. I'm very, very excited for this one.
Yes, I think the advanced reading copies will be available pretty soon, won't they, for our reviewers and fans?
They are actually available now. So
oh my God!
Yeah. So
well, like now on NetGalley.
Yep. So if you are a blogger or a podcaster of all things X-Men or Marvel, if you have a website or a video blog, a YouTube, do head over to NetGalley and request this one, because it is available now for review for the next month or so. I think it's like 5 weeks we've got it up there for. So
that's not very long at all.
No, I know.
in fact, more importantly, well, you're saying importantly, we should probably say when this book actually comes out. That would be useful information for a whole bunch of people, I imagine. Which is pretty soon. This is out in the US and globally in ebook on the 3rd of November, and hits the UK in paperback on the 10th of December. We have some shipping and, of course, 2020 to get around to get books here.
Yes.
But yeah, not very far away at all.
No.
I'm always a bit confused because I'm working on December books now, so I never really know where we are in the calendar anymore.
No, me neither. I'm in both time zones at the same time. I'm like, this book has and both has not been released yet, and I must remember which way. This Schrodinger's novel for me.
It is very confusing. It doesn't help that we're working on books for spring and summer next year, and we're starting to work into the fall as well. So yes, our sense of time is completely gone. Yes, what a great birthday present! Maybe you can persuade a family member to buy you and everyone else in your family a copy of Liberty and Justice for All. That would be splendid. Yeah, I think Carrie's done a great job with this all around, and I'm looking forward to seeing it come out. Shall we talk about building the cover?
Yes, let's talk about
that'd be fun. I like talking about the
cover itself first, and then talk about how we got to it, or should we just start with?
I think if we go straight to my slideshow, because yes, it's one of those afternoons, I'm afraid, everybody. Look through Nick's holiday pics. Yeah, that opens with the cover. So yeah, this is Liberty and Justice for All by Carrie Harris. Lovely piece of art all around, and yeah, we're gonna have a nice chat about how we come to that. So part of my role is I design the inside and the outside of the book. So part of that's the layout, so how they look inside for the typesetting, how many pages it's going to run to, all that kind of stuff that is very tedious for people who don't want to know about leading and stuff. But also the outside wrap. So not only does this have the front cover, but it's got the back as well, which looks very pretty. But we're not going to show you today. You'll have to buy it to see that. And the whole cover up process begins when we get the synopsis for the book, and we go, what the hell is this about? What could we possibly put on the cover that would look kind of cool? And for the Marvel stuff, we've got 4 different strands for Marvel, and they all have very different graphical styles. We wanted them to be able to be distinguished, but all look equally cool. So we've had some Legends of Asgard stuff out, which is full-on classic epic fantasy stuff done by the remarkable Grant Griffin. We've got the Marvel heroine stuff, which we've seen previously with Domino Strays, an upcoming Rogue novel, which has I guess a very cool and interesting style by Joey Hi-Fi in these cases, which has sort of geometrical background shapes and a large photorealistic art piece of the main character.
Very much like a Domino style.
Yeah, which all looks really kind of sweet. And then we've also got Marvel Untold, which will come up with some kind of treat for later, which is a little bit closer to comic book style. And very flat and, cool. To have the 4 of them together, they all look like very different styles of book, which they are, and it's kind of ace. But with this being Xavier's Institute, this is our first one, and we wanted to be able to get into the characters and do something, I guess it looks a little bit like a movie poster. We'll get into that in a mo. Oh, I'm in charge of the PowerPoint, aren't we? Okay. So let's get into it. So our main characters, we have these splendid humans to work with. We have Triage, who's a pretty cool mutant. His main power is healing. He may even be immortal, but he can heal both himself and others. So he's not a kind of all-punching, all-flying superhero. He has quite a weird look by superhero standards. He mostly wears quite a smart suit, has these cool steampunk goggles and awesome dreads. These are all references from the various Marvel comics that have been. And what we're keen for these covers, as we are for the heroines, damn it, is to get. We want to represent these characters as they appear in the comics, but we're looking for them to look much more like a movie poster. So we want to turn these comic characters into real humans for the cover, and that determines a little bit what we can do with them. Since Triage doesn't have any sort of magic powers like that he manifests, we don't get to do big fancy boops of energy around him and stuff. But he does have this cool staff, which we're happy to get in there somewhere. He's contrasted with Tempest, who's Australian chronokinetic, which is awesome. She gets to throw around time bubbles, so she can freeze time. She, in fact, in the comics, travels back in time and has done already by the beginning of this story. She's got this kind of mad outfit, this blue, black, and white stripy skirt, dress thing. I don't know quite how to describe it. And she's got the lovely black and white hair. Again, we wanted to be able to turn her into a full human to show off for these things. And she's kind of ace in lots of ways. She's very good in the comics. I'd like to see a lot more of her. She is indeed very cool. You are entirely correct. We agree with you and endorse that. And this is the sort of vibe that we want to get for these novels. Yeah, this is we want the big full movie poster kind of style, where we see a bunch of the characters looking very strong and some kind of shape in the background. You know, we're not getting a very detailed background in any of these. In the Spider-Man Far From Home, we've got a little bit of city stuff. We've got some nice shapes for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not a lot more than that. I realize Sonic looks like a kind of a joke inclusion, but it's not. The layout of that is not dissimilar at all to what we've done for Tempest and Triage here. We wanted some action. We want to see these characters, and we want to offset it with a few hints of what comes up in the story. That's kind of what we aimed for. So our next challenge was to find, you know, an artist. And we found Anastasia Bogakova, who you can look up on ArtStation. She's fantastic. It's been a real joy to work with her. And we found her, well, I found her because we were looking for photorealistic characters with sort of magic powers kind of posed together. And she's done all these lovely guys. The one in the top left was the picture I saw first. And that manifestation of magic powers in one hand, well, I found really gripping and really exciting to look at. Yeah, these look like people.
I really like the green trousers, this sort of glowing yellow leg. Yeah, that one in the middle. I love that.
That's Brazil. Anastasia was on, I think it was IO9 a couple of years ago, because she'd done a whole series of national kind of stereotype characters put into a single figure. And yes, I believe that's Brazil with the awesome glowing feet. I think that's Russia next to her on the left. I forget exactly, but they're all on her ArtStation, and they're all ace.
She gets the OSL really nicely done with those. Yeah.
Lovely sense of
lighting, object source lighting. Everyone, I know some technical terms.
Sure, that's a thing that I understand. You're right.
The glow from the glowy bits.
But really importantly, all the dynamism that we see in that picture on the bottom left, with the chains of fire whipping around, all that was very exciting. And I think in the middle we've got, I think that's one of the Middle Eastern countries, might be Iran, with a sort of jinn demon thing. And that use of light, where you can make light jump off the page, I always find really appealing and attractive when we're looking for cover artists, especially for this kind of stuff. We want to do sort of mutant, magical, powery things. I don't know if they're really magic. I've never fully understood whether or not they're magic or just natural human mutations, but they're all very cool. So we have in Anastasia, and we always start with getting the artist to sketch out a kind of a layout that they think will appeal. We give a lot of references and a lot of ideas and guidance in our art briefs for the sorts of layouts that we have in mind. Maybe these things in the front and some background elements you might want to chuck in, and then we let the artist go for it. We don't want to control these things too much. We can add the control later. It's a collaborative process that I find very rich and enjoyable. So we got these lovely sketches back first. Already with some of the layout, we knew that we've got our marble strap at the top. We're going to have a big title, and we have the author's name. We had suggested that we have a lot of white space for these, because I used to on some of those movie posters, you either have quite a lot of white space around it or a lot of black space. Either way, we knew we wanted it to be largely blank, being able to focus on the characters. Anastasia gave us these three lovely layouts, very dynamic. Lots of, you know, Tempest, fist in the air, shoom, spacey action poses with triage, backing up, defending, and our first few hints of what we're going to get in the background. And as is so often the case, we said, we love all of these. Can you smash them together into one? Which is what Anastasia did. And yeah, this is the layout that we ended up going with before we started adding colors. And I really like this process of seeing it all build up, because we didn't really get a sense of what the background was going to look like from this. We knew it would be a little bit lighter while we're focusing on the main dudes, but we weren't really sure where it was going. And obviously at this stage, it looks very much like comic book art. Obviously using those references before we dig in. But when we added color, it changed insanely. And straight away, the characters were coming to life. This is still a pretty early sketch. And we've just got a hint of what we were going to get in the backgrounds. What we ended up with was this lovely sort of pastel spray across the back that was then filled in with the various bits of background elements. And it wasn't something that we, I guess, expected. We knew it would have some kind of color tone, but we hadn't specifically gone, yes, put like a pastel layer in the background. It was very much Anastasia's choice. And it took us, well, it took me aback for a moment. I was like, oh my God, that's incredibly cool. I want more of this. And so we kind of just let it keep going, really, with a few notes, added lots more color, and added this sort of magic time bubbles that Tempest manifests that she can use to freeze people in stasis and stuff. And they're just kind of epic. And it just kept getting richer and richer and brighter and cooler until we got to the final art, where we had them fully realized, and they're so beautifully detailed. Yeah, even triage, even though he's only got his staff, along with the obviously be able to heal people from bringing them back from the dead. Yeah, that's all he's got. But even his staff is given such incredible energy in this picture, sort of vibrating with force and kinetic power. And this is where we finally got.
I like how she's blended it, like in the bottom for the legs, like they don't just like disappear, but they're disappearing in like weird, like fractured chunks. So it looks, yeah, also looks a bit more powers and a bit more like mutancy rather than just a fade or something. It's got these like cracked parts there.
It does. It's really good. It sort of fragments as it comes down to the titling later. That would be kind of awesome. Yes, maybe, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, you'll definitely want this as your wallpaper, if nothing else. And it just crackles with energy. And we got in the background a whole bunch of the details and the major elements that come up in the story. That's the Natural History Museum in Chicago, down in bottom right, which is kind of an important set piece in the novel. We have the X-Copter up in top left, and the Sentinels, which is kind of the sort of things that get placed in the it's Sentinels, as you can see.
You got a bit crackly.
Have we? Oh, I don't know. I blame being outside.
You are back. What? So we missed. You said something about Sentinels, and then it went.
That's okay, because it was probably a massive spoiler. But you won't be surprised, having seen Sentinels on the cover, to discover that there are Sentinels in the book as well. And there's some very cool stuff about the Sentinels, because yeah, all right, I'm not going to spoil it, but they're very awesome, and they have to fight them. And I really like Anastasia's representation of them here, and I'd like to see more of them in different places. So once we had the final art, it was kind of the usual matter of putting everything else on top of it that go with it. And it really comes together beautifully. It fills up that top 2/3 of the cover in between our strap line at the top and the quite dynamic lettering that we ended up with. Big, fat Liberty and Justice for All lettering with a nice kind of red, white, and blue gradient running through it. Yeah, Liberty and Justice for All is a big, yeah, this is what we believe. These are our American values. And it's fun to get that represented in the title font as well. I think it's come together beautifully. I'm really happy with it, and really excited to work with Anastasia on it, and look forward to working together on future projects. Oh, I'll get lots of lovely things from Catherine. You can come again. Yes, we certainly consider the different color options. It's tricky, but we have plenty of flex in that, and it's nice to be able to get the colors to reflect the tones that are in there. That purple itself is taken out of, I think we took it originally out of the very darkest part of Tempest's hair, where it blends into the pastel shading, to give you some hint of the absurd level of detail for choosing these things. But yeah, it's kind of awesome. I'm excited to see what people are enjoying with it. Yeah, kind of ace. Would you like to ask anything about it, Anjuli? Now that I've talked for half an hour.
I really like, so I really like the use of negative space in it, so the white backgrounds on it. Like, why did you decide for this one that's what you wanted, like this?
Partly because it's different from the others. You know, part of it's separating out our 4 Marvel strands very clearly, not just by describing them as Xavier's Institute or Legends of Asgard. We want them to look and feel different. We think those strands have a different vibe. Yeah, the Legends of Asgard is big epic fantasy, so that should look like epic fantasy. These Xavier's Institute are very much about people coming into their powers. There's a coming of age aspect to that. But core to the X-Men is working together as a team. An awful lot of the most exciting moments in the X-Men movies and the X-Men comics is when people who aren't really used to working together finally work together for the first time. Think of, like, yeah, X-Men First Class and that series of films. Yeah, these are untested powers being thrown together for the first time. And that moment where they team up and like, rah, is so empowering and satisfying to watch, that we wanted to represent that style on the covers. And what would you put in the background for that? It would overly, you know, if we put the whole of the Chicago Natural History Museum with the stuff that goes down in it in the background, it would overwhelm. We want our characters for this to be very much at the fore. This is about Tempest and Triage. It's about this other stuff too, sure, but this is their story, and the things that happen in the background are the things that lead to them becoming the X-Men that they are today, or will be at the end of this story. And yeah, the white space emphasizes that and pushes them all the way forwards, as does the massive lettering. Yeah, it's fun to work with.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this book. I'm excited to see the reviews. I know that there's a couple of podcasts that have already requested it on NetGalley, and I've, of course, approved it immediately for them. So hopefully we'll get some nice interviews with Carrie and things like that as well.
Well, yeah, well, we're seeing some incredible reviews from Domino Strays coming in, Tristan Palmgren, Marvel Heroines book, so hopefully we'll see the same. Yeah, I think it should be, Catherine. The characters are really important. They should be central to these books. Yeah, they are superhero stories, and the hero in that is front and center. We're also got some villainy going on as well, and that'll be equally important. Excuse me while my face gets blown around. It's something a good deal more windy than it was half an hour ago when I thought having my hair down would be a good idea. Apparently not. No, it's all soaked on my face now. No, the horror. Okay, I'm not going to escape from that.
No. Okay. You were saying earlier on when you were talking about the book itself, you mentioned that this is like, you know, how the good guys became the good guys, and that made me really, really, really want to see like the bad young ones become like super villains. It's like a school for good and evil.
Yeah,
who are the Slytherins in this?
I would like to see that too. Yeah, I think it's an equally important story, isn't it? Yeah, it's not just how we choose and find ourselves becoming heroes despite our doubts, but the things that make us end up as villains. And for a lot of people, a lot of characters, say in the Marvel universe, that always seems to be like on a knife edge. You know, it doesn't take much to send you one way rather than the other. I always think about Tony Stark as Iron Man. Yeah, he's an arms dealer. He's a bad guy, real bad guy. You don't get much worse. But you know, he has certainly in the MCU, which I'm very familiar with. They're very close to my heart, and I love them. You know, it's him having a bad experience turns him. You know, he sees the impact of what he's done, and maybe that's true for a lot of superheroes. Yeah, they see they've done a thing, and whether or not they recognize the impact determines whether or not they become heroes or villains. How much empathy they've got, how much they understand their place in the world. That's all very cool. Oh, was that a nice comment about Domino?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. We hope people will be attracted to these, not just because, yeah, it's Marvel, which in itself is cool, and frankly is a draw for me to go to the cinema if I know there's a Marvel movie, even if I don't know the characters. But yeah, we want to highlight characters that fans love. In some cases, those would be characters that have not maybe had that much play in comics or in movies of late. You know, characters like Triage and Tempest, who will be very well known to a good chunk of Marvel fans, but may not be very well known to the rest of us. And hopefully they'll be drawn into this, and will then go out and seek out all the comics and demand more comics and demand their placement in movies and other things. You know, I think that's all good. So in the case of Domino, my first exposure to Domino was through the Deadpool movies. I was like, oh, he's kind of awesome. And then to find out we're doing more stuff with that character, albeit a different interpretation of that character, as we have throughout the Marvel universe and all the different mediums and formats, is really exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting work on these books.
Because, like, for me, I only know Marvel characters from the films. I've never been a comic book reader. For me, because I speed read, like a comic lasts 3 seconds. I'm like, oh, I paid all this money for this thing that I got 3 minutes of enjoyment from. It makes me sad. I never got into comics ever, or graphic novels and such.
Oh no, that's very sad.
I like looking at the pictures of them, but like I never really was a comic person.
Oh, interesting.
I think the only ones I have are my Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons ones. Only because of the fact that I love it.
Well, that's quite very well. One of the things that changed for me for comics. Oh, there you go. Your trap door opened and your bird flew out. You now can't speak or do anything, I guess. One of the things I found for comics, I guess in the last 10 years or so, was digital comics, because it slows things down for me. So I can read it a panel at a time rather than looking at a whole page at a time, and I found that great, and so much. Oh, Catherine's going to send us loads of hints, isn't she, of things that we need to go and read in comics form. I have an appalling stack of comics and graphic novels waiting to be read. It's not quite as tall as my to be read pile of novels, but it's pretty close. It's a good 4 feet of comics and stuff. I don't know when I'm going to get into those. It's nightmarish, but they're all awesome, and they're all from a range of Marvel, DC, love IDW stuff in there, which I very much like. I've got to read the new round of Transformers, which is all very cool. And I've still got more, several volumes behind for Monstrous, Black Science, Sex Criminals. Oh, God knows what else. Just tons of stuff. It's very bad, very bad. Yeah, you should read more comics, Anjuli, I think is a summary. And I think we're going to be told to read more comics in general.
Yes. Okay.
But I know it's probably worth saying that, you know, building these novels is a great introduction to that Marvel universe of comics as well, and that's going to be good for everyone. I know Catherine's mentioned characters that I have not heard of. There are thousands of characters in this universe. Doing a novel for each of them might take us a while, but if you keep buying them, we'll keep making them.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yay! Right. Well, we've got like a minute or so left in this. So have we got anything we want to just like sneak?
Oh, do we have any questions? I don't know. Maybe there are questions if we want to ask questions, since otherwise I'll talk much like Mark without really taking a breath for hours at a time.
Oh, sorry.
You're all right. You're being oh, I thought you'd been attacked by a tiny bird. Well, that is all cool. Well, if folks ever want to ask us questions, then we'll be back doing these things. That seems like it. I know that's the right way to hold a bird, but it always seems odd, like you've snatched it out of the sky. I don't know.
Well, the cockatiels wouldn't let me hold them like that, but she likes to be held. So you can tickle her belly.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, my cat's like that a great deal. Mostly to be held in a cradle style. That's all right. But I was going to say, we're going to do a lot more of these Facebook Lives, aren't we? We're aiming for like a weekly one for Q&As and talk to people, find out authors and drag them in, make them explain themselves. Yeah,
I'd like to, for next month, for the launch one, is try and get, for Marvel, to get both Richard on here and also Tristan, and have each of them do like maybe a 20-minute thing on launch day, where we just get to all talk to them about the book and gush over it, and maybe they can do like a little reading from the beginning of it or something. That sounds like a great idea. Well, I was going to say, if this is the first one of our Facebook Live chats you've listened to, they're all also available on YouTube, our YouTube channel, and they're in the Facebook Live page for Aconite Books. You'll find a whole bunch of chats, including quite a long chat with Richard Lee Byers, I believe. About Head of Mimir and stuff. So there is more stuff to dive into. Yeah, and also we've got chats with David Geimer about his stuff, and so we're very lucky. Our authors are delightful and are very happy to do interviews, either like over video or via emails and things, and they're just really lovely to talk to, and they've been very welcoming to me as I joined the group. And one of our authors, Thomas Parrott, bought me a birthday present.
What? That's outrageous. Didn't buy me anything.
It was Lady Rainicorn scarf from Adventure Time.
Well, I'm definitely sulking and not doing anything to write one of Thomas's books, and that's fine. That sounds entirely reasonable. We are about out of time, aren't we? Did you have a something you wanted to flash at the screen very briefly as a teaser, what we might talk about later? So, but it's going to be what, for like 3 seconds?
Yeah. So
I'll give you a countdown once it's up.
Okay.
All right, go for it.
3,
2, 1, go. Done.
What was it? I didn't even see.
Who knows? I had my eyes closed the whole time. More news to come on that one.
Yes. So thanks everyone for hanging out with us today. We've got some new stuff coming up. So join the mailing list if you haven't already, because that's where I tell you all the newest gossip first. So you get an email every other Thursday with exclusive content in it, which I don't then tell the rest of the world until Monday. So you have a whole weekend to feel smug that you know the information first. And of course you can tweet that out and tell other people. That's okay as well, but you'll get to know it first by joining our newsletter, and that includes things like looking at our cover reveals first as well. Yay!
That sounds great. I've signed up.
Yeah, I realised I haven't. I need to sign myself up. Every time I send it, I go, "Oh, I didn't sign up for it."
Oh man! I need to fix that. Well, that's no good. All right. Well, I guess we're about done. I've got a busy afternoon of sorting out more books and more cover art, which will be kind of cool. But thanks for inviting me in here to babble about working with Anastasia. That was delightful.
Yes, that's very nice. I mean, otherwise it would have just been me, and I'd be like, I don't know, Nick did some stuff, Mark did some stuff, Lottie did a lot of editing, and I just showed off the pictures once it was done.
Oh no, we have to teach you to bluff. Do a full hour of bluffing.
Just play Braggart. We need more Braggart in our lives. That's what we
do need more Braggart. Yeah, good reason to go back to the office.
Yeah.
All right. Right. I will see you later. Thanks for watching, guys.